Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more F1 2020 League Racing here today. And this is round number 3 technically of the season, since the season did reset a couple of races ago, and it is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at Baku. Now, the last episode was at Monaco. I'll leave a link up in the top right hand corner, guys, of your screen, so go check that out because spoilers are on the way. So if you haven't seen it, guys, the race in the background right now, then go watch that race. But as you guys know, you've been asking me in the comments and also tweeting me and stuff, and you wanted to know the answer and the final result of the Stewards investigations, and I can tell you those decisions did come through, and we'll break them down very shortly. What I can tell you is, unfortunately, I lost the race win. Now, before we jump into it, before anyone starts raging in the comments, I'm not particularly annoyed. I knew what I was doing, you know, I took a bit of a risk, and it kind of backfired. So with that in mind, let's go into the incidents now. Incident number 1 was this restart right here. Now, the main issue with this was the big brake check I did into the second swimming pool right about here. I hit the brakes, and Christian Sendel, who's in P3, hit the back of Paris, and that gave Paris a 5-second time penalty, and I believe gave Christian wing damage. And because of that, because of my big hit on the brakes there, which, you know, was unintentional, I've got to say that, unfortunately that was deemed risky and dangerous, and therefore the stewards reviewed the incident, and I got 10 penalty points for that, and no penalisation from that, which was okay. Just, you know, a bit of a slap on the wrist, you know, 10 penalty points, and I was like, okay, fair enough, I can understand that, so I'm not particularly concerned, and you know, we move on. But unfortunately, there was another incident, and this was the big one, the main event, if you will, and it was VSC, where basically, if you look in the top left, Christian was about 18 seconds behind, and I was concerned that Paris could potentially undercut me in this race with the VSC, of course. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm actually going to just hold him up, back him up, and not run into my delta too much. So as you can see, I'm running at a consistent speed, but this was also considered to be dangerous, which was a bit of a shame because I made sure I did no brake checking, no harsh accelerating, no aggressive tyre weaving. It was all very consistent, very smooth, and I did it just enough to kind of avoid that undercut window that Paris had to try and avoid him winning the race. Now, unfortunately, even though I knew what I was doing with this, the stewards reviewed the information and, you know, the evidence, and they decided that this was not fair and illegal. So as you can see, we timed it beautifully with the VSC restart, and I did my bit, but unfortunately, as you'll see now, the stewards' verdict was that the VSC is quite exploitable in this game, which is absolutely true, and because of that, I received a 5-second time penalty and an extra 5 penalty points. So in this race, altogether, I collected 15 penalty points and a 5-second time penalty. So unfortunately, that does mean we are going to lose the race win. So yeah, it is what it is. We move on, we go again. You know, this was only the second race of the season. In terms of Monaco, the final race results then look like this, and you can see we finish in 4th place in the end due to the 5-second time penalty, and Fader wins the race. Paris had his own penalty, so he finishes P6 in the end. So you know what, I'll take it. We live and learn, and we move on to the next race. And the next race is Baku, and I'm looking forward to it because I put the work in here, and I'm feeling optimistic about the pace. And straight away, we pick up an invalidation on my first time lap. They're pushing a bit too much in terms of track limits there, because that particular corner is very different. You know, it's very tricky and very difficult as well. There's lots of lines you can take, and it's very hard to get that lap and that corner absolutely perfect. So there's going to be a big focus on that particular corner this entire event. Either way, I pushed on. I wanted to finish the lap anyways to get a bit of a banker, and we crossed the line setting a 37.5, which was okay for a banker lap. My best lap all round was this one right here, so we're going to run on board for a full lap of Baku, and then I'm going to actually stay on board with you guys for it. So first of all, turns 1 and 2. Now, important through here to really go for that slow in, fast out approach. So really focusing on your exits, and that's exactly what we do as we find a bit of time picking up a slight slipstream there from the Red Bull, making our way down towards turn 3, braking at the 100-meter board, down to 3rd gear, apex just about missed it. I didn't quite clip it, but we still found a bit of time. Then unfortunately through turn 4 I just didn't get the line right. I missed my apex again by quite a bit, lost a bit of time, but we're still a 10th up in the first sector. We're now going to this left-right chicane. Very important here to open up the right and get that traction down as we run down towards the next right-hand corner, which is a bit of a hairpin. Important again here to really take a lot of inside curb like that. We're now 2.5 tenths up as we now go down 1 gear, 4th gear through the entire castle section, throwing the car in and hoping the car will stick. Short shifting on the exit, using all the runoff on the right, getting a bit of oversteer, which costs us about half a tenth, which is a bit of a shame. We was about 2 tenths up on this lap, so we've definitely given up a bit of lap time. And now to the very tricky left-hander here. This time we nail it, get the line absolutely perfect, and we go back to being 2 tenths up on our previous personal best. Now the final brake zone around here, the left-hander, making sure you use all the runoff on the right. Didn't quite maximise the traction, but we're still just about 3 tenths up on my previous best, even though it was invalidated. So we're looking on course for a 0.3 or a 0.2. My best lap in practice, you know, preparing for the event, I managed to do a 36.9 in my testing. So I know I can hit that kind of lap. So we set a 37.2 and go second behind Josh, who's sitting on a 37.0, which was a really, really strong lap. Josh was extremely fast. I don't know where it came from, but he was on it this weekend, and he was really going to be hard to beat. And you can see now he actually sets a 38.8 as I prepare for my final lap, and that was, yeah, too much for me. I was never going to get a 0.8, at least not in this session. Now you can see here, we now turn 1. I didn't get the exit right there, which was a bit annoying. We then go through turn 2, and I nailed it. We found about a 10th. And at this point, I was like, okay, you know what, this is good. As it stands, we're looking okay for a 37.1. We then approach turn 3, and I try to hit the apex this time, but again, we miss it, running a bit wide, and I throw away my 1/10 advantage, which was annoying. We miss our apex again through turn 4, and in the first sector, we are fractionally down as we then head into the chicane. Full commitment on entry here as we find another 10th. Didn't quite get the traction down, but we're still improving slightly, half a tenth up as we now head into this right-hand hairpin. And again, I didn't really attack the curb enough there. I locked up a little bit, ran a bit deep, which was annoying, but then the castle section, I absolutely nailed it. You'll see here, I recover all that time, and also for good measure, we don't get that oversteer, so we get a nice clean exit. So altogether, we're still matching our previous lap, which is a bit of a shame. And we now head into the troublesome left-hander here. I'm going to try and attack the apex there, and we just about get a bit of oversteer though, which cost us another 10th. And now into the left-hander here before the back straight, trying to get that traction down, but unfortunately I lost even more time. I got a good exit, but I was over a 10th down, and you're not going to make up a 10th on a flat-out straight, so I knew I wasn't going to improve. Having said that, the lap was frustrating because there was a couple of moments where I was a 10th up and I threw it away, or I was a 10th down and I managed to recover that 10th. So I do believe a 0.8 could have been possible, but I would have had to put up a perfect lap. Now, I didn't quite have that pace, and you know, I've got to give credit to Josh for that. He pulled out an absolute blinder of a lap. I believe you got a bit of a tow from his teammate Cryzix on the final sector, so that might have helped him a little bit. But I do believe, personally, I should have hit a 0.9. That should have been quite easy to do, and I didn't do it, so a bit annoying, but still luckily we didn't get punished for the mistakes, and we're still in the front row. And crucially, you know, none of our title rivals are in this race. Failer and Paris are not here today, so we've got a big chance to pick up a few points. But guys, that's it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race here in Baku, and we're going to try and pick up a big fat 25 points, hopefully without any controversy this time around. Now here we go for the race. First of all, looking at the race strategy. Now we're going to start on the soft tyres, of course, that we were forced to qualify on, and we're then going to move on to the hard compound tyres. They're very straightforward, one-stop strategy. Bit of a concern in terms of those outside the top 10 or those who didn't qualify, because the reverse strategy is very powerful. The alternate strategy, starting on mediums going on to softs, is a very, very quick and effective strategy. It works really well in career mode as well, so I've got my eyes open for that. In terms of fuel load, I'm running 1 lap extra, so quite a bit in the tank, because you know that big long pit straight is going to be very important. So with that in mind, we move on to the formation lap. Now the target was simple: put some pressure on Josh and you know, let him feel it a little bit, see if we can try and force him into an error, or possibly get him into the first corner. You know, my starts haven't been perfect so far, so I'm hoping to improve that here today as the lights are on here at Baku. Lights out and away we go, quick 5 lights, and there's a good start from us off the line, getting alongside the racing point, down the inside into turn 1, trying to keep a little bit of room. on the outside for him as we go side by side now down towards turn number 2, picking up the inside line one more time, but we're very compromised, which means Josh gets a very good exit on the outside there and takes back P1. We're going to try and slot into the slipstream here as we race down towards turn 3. We're going to pick up the inside line again, and we kind of shake and bake, but Josh locks up, runs into the wall. There's wing damage for him. I'm compromised. I can't overtake him, and that allows Andy to go around the outside in the Mercedes, and there was nothing I could do about it. I lost all my momentum out of turn 3, hitting the brakes to avoid hitting the back of the racing point, and that allowed Andy to get by in the Mercedes. So a bit of an unfortunate one. I do believe Andy has wing damage. He hit a car behind me into that turn 3 as well, and it seems like a lot of cars had a bit of a domino effect in terms of losing front wing. Luckily, we wasn't one of them. So as it stands, I know both cars ahead of me have wing damage, and I think Warren might have some as well behind me, I'm not sure. So we're in a good position here. You can see we're much quicker than Andy through the castle section, and it was all about trying to find a way through. I wasn't able to get into turn 1, partly because Andy was using all of his DRS. We get very close into turn 2. A bit of lag from Andy as always. He always seems to be a bit laggy for us in the league racing, so we almost lost our front wing there, but luckily we just about avoided it. And now towards the end of lap 2, you can see how much quicker we are through these corners, and Josh, even with wing damage, he's pulling away out front, and I don't want to let him get away. So eventually now at the end of the 3rd lap, DRS of course is now enabled, and I'm going to use a big chunk of my overtake here to really close up to Andy and make sure there's no doubt in this, and we make this move, because he's not going to have DRS on Josh. He's now pulled out of the 1 second window, and here we go then, waiting for the DRS. Now using overtake, I'm going to go to the outside here. It's very close, running out of track there, but I couldn't do much about that. I thought Andy was going to go defensive, but he kind of didn't. He feinted a little bit if you watch it back on the replay, and I committed to the outside. Luckily we get through with no wing damage, and straight away purple first sector, and we are on the hunt. And you can see we're already 1.2 seconds clear of Andy, and we're now starting to close up to Josh in the racing point here. So here we go. Oh, never mind. Virtual safety car actually gets called, so that's going to throw things up in the air, because we're actually going to pit and get the pit stop out of the way now, benefit from the virtual safety car, and Josh is going to pit as well. So it's going to be a pit stop battle, but I do believe Josh will get his front wing fixed, which means we should be able to comfortably get out ahead of him as we strap on the hard compound tyres. 2.6, pretty standard, and the VSC just comes to an end right there, and DRS enabled once again. And look at that, we're ahead of Josh, we're also still ahead of Andy, and we rejoin P5 on the hard compound tyres, and we're going to the end of the race. Now, I will admit, it's a long way to go. We might have issues with tyre wear at the end, so we're going to have to be careful with that. Either way, it was a virtual safety car. I had to take the opportunity to pit because it's a free pit stop. So nonetheless, we got on the way, started to set a few lap times, and to be fair, Josh was quick. With a full front wing, he was quicker than me. He gained about half a second in about a lap, and you can see he sets a new purple lap behind me, so he was flying. And then Andy as well, setting an even faster lap. So those guys seemingly showing some pretty good pace. But then the next lap, Josh dropped to about 5.2 and lost about 1.5 seconds on that last lap, and I believe he once again got wing damage, and I think Andy was actually pretty similar as well. So suddenly the threat of those two catching me disappeared because they got wing damage again. So the pressure was off, and I could now focus on cutting my way through this traffic, because we've got Kryzix, Kimmies, and my teammate Florian all in front on, of course, the hard tyres, which they started on. So I've got to try and get my way through here, because we've got Brownie out front in the Renault. He's on mediums, going for the alternate strategy, and he's pulling away all the time. You'll see on the minimap sometimes, maybe on the crossover, Brownie really getting the hammer down on those mediums and running at a very good pace. So I'm going to try and find my way through here. Kryzix brushes the wall through there, so that might give him some slight wing damage. I'm going to try and line him up for a move. So as you can see, getting that traction down nicely on those fresh hard tyres, and this should be pretty straightforward. Kryzix will have DRS, but we're really close, so we should get a strong tow regardless. And here we go then, now using a bit of overtake at times, and we're now going to wait for the DRS, which is now combine it with some overtake, and we're going to just go to the outside, get a slight slipstream from the cars ahead, and we get ahead of Kryzix there and move up into P4 in this race. So job done, that's one car down. We can now focus on trying to catch up to Kimmies and Florian up ahead and try and get past both of those guys, and hopefully get into that clean air and set those lap times that we need to try and maintain this race lead. So as you can see, lap 11, I tried to be a bit cheeky here because I felt a lot quicker than these guys. I had so much more pace, but I wasn't really able to show it. And you can see through here now for the chicane, I tried to catch Kimi's napping, and you can see I run rich mix and overtake. I'm going to try and go down the inside into the hairpin here, and we're going to have a little look on the brakes, but not quite able to get that move done, unfortunately. I tried to be cheeky there. That does take some pressure, though, off my teammate, which is very important because, you know, Kimi's was getting too much of a slipstream, and it was hard for me to get close to him. So this lap, because of that little overtake attempt, it meant Kimi's is a bit further back from Florian, and we're going to get a stronger slipstream here. And you can see now, I'm going to try and pull to the left-hand side and make this move, getting a bit of a tow from my teammate. And now down the inside of turn 1, Kimi is looking for the switchback. I read it, so I also reacted on the brakes quite early to avoid him cutting back underneath. And there we go, we're now ahead of him, and we can focus on getting past my teammate. Now, at this point, the race was going perfectly. Everything was spot on. But then, you can see here, I get past Florian, and into turn 3, we're going to hit the brakes, and it's going to be so close. Somehow, I did not hit the wall. I don't know how I avoided it. It was almost like Sainz and Albon in Imola this weekend gone by, how I didn't touch the wall. But somehow, we avoid hitting the wall, but we've given up 2 places once again, possibly 3, as Cryzix is trying to go down the inside. You can see there, I double-checked my front wing, no damage, and we survived. But it just caught me out. The overspeed, you know, was so powerful with overtake, DRS, and rich mix that I just completely missed my braking point. So we're going to have to do it all over again now. And here we go on to lap 13. Kimi is going to go for the move on Florian into turn 1. They're both side by side, locking up their tyres, and this is just costing me time. You can see Josh is catching up behind in the racing point, and this is not helping my race one bit. And you can see now eventually we get the traction down. This time we get past our teammate quite early on the straight, and Kimi's light is flashing, which means he's got no energy left. So we're going to also make a nice easy move down the inside, and this time we get the car slowed down, and finally we're up into second place. But we've lost so much time in this last lap, you know. Well, not even this last lap, the last 3 or 4 laps, just stuck behind these guys, you know, stuck in traffic, and that mistake on the last lap really affected me, you know, losing that much time into turn 3, having to re-overtake them again. And up front, Brownie was about 11.7 up the road. Eventually, on lap 16, the gap is down to 8.7, and he pits. So Brownie now is going to box for the soft tyres, which is quite a long way to go. You know, 10 laps of softs is a long stint around here, and you're going to be struggling with tyres at the very end. But nonetheless, this is now going to give us the race lead, and we can now relax, go about our race, and, you know, try and set some good lap times. The right rear tyre was starting to go a little bit, and I was a bit concerned about that, and I wanted to try and manage it a bit. You just saw a quick glance there, it was on the orange, so it's getting pretty worn out. Now, talking about guys behind us, Kimi's, I believe, will box this lap, which means it should be Andy P2, Josh P3, and I'll say that actually Brownie's been overtaking Josh just now on the soft tyres, so he's getting to work straight away, as you can see now Andy second, Brownie third, and Josh P4. So that's the situation. 7 laps to go, and you can see now at the end of this lap, Brownie has caught up to Andy, so he's really flying on those soft tyres. And I quickly realised, oh crap, I need to get a move on here. I didn't have much pace left in the car. I was trying to manage my right rear. You can see again there, the tyre wear, very, very worn out tyres. We set a personal best. Brownie in P2, he's flying, and across the line now you'll see, I believe he sets a new fastest lap, or maybe not this lap, might be later on. Either way, he was flying. We set another personal best on lap 24, trying to do the best I can. You know, I'm giving it absolutely everything, but now Brownie is within DRS, and he's going to start putting the pressure on. Now, 3 laps to go. This is so difficult, man, because you're managing your tyre wear whilst trying to make sure your traction, corner exits, and defence is on point. Now, on lap 24, you see at the end, Brownie half second adrift. He's right underneath me here, and I've got plenty of ERS to be fair, and fuel, and I've saved it. And you can see here my strategy was to let Brownie catch me up and close in on me, and which, you know, he does of course with DRS. And I was going to wait to the very last minute to use my overtake to kind of compensate, and you can see now reactivate the overtake mode, but Brownie's too quick. I think he was running a bit less front wing than me on the setup because he was really, really fast on the straights, and he breezes past into the race with 2 laps to go. I tried to get him back, and, you know, I thought to myself, okay, you know what, I'm going to sit behind this lap and try and get him back on the next one. But unfortunately, as you can see there, my traction wasn't great, and I just wasn't able to keep up. He wasn't that fast, I just lost the right rear. I hit the cliff basically, and you can see here again, trying to get that traction down, I'm so slow. And there's the tyre wear, 78%, you know, we were struggling. And this is the last lap. Now you see the gap is 1.1 seconds. I was trying to push to keep up, but unfortunately it just wasn't possible. And yeah, a bit of a shame. And I'm annoyed because this could have been a race win for me very easily, but again, we didn't maximize it, and that is really frustrating for me. You can see I managed to just about stay within DRS range of Brownie until the line, but even that doesn't mean much because, you know, we just lacked a bit of pace in that sense. And yeah, Brownie's going to pick up the win here today, running up to the line, and we're going to finish P2, which is still okay. You know, that's good points for us. And you can see across the line, the right rear 80%, which was really painful for us. But yeah, there we go, P2, another podium. And we then look at the final race results. Now, I do think it's worth noting in that race, you know, as a summary, I feel like I got a lot of things wrong in that one. You know, I think the safety car, the virtual safety car, should I say, didn't help. You know, being forced to pit on lap 4 meant I had no tyres left at the end. I was scheduled to pit on lap 6 or 7. That would have made things very easy because I could have defended myself a lot easier, and the gap wouldn't have gone down as much to Brownie in that entire final stint. Also, you know, my mistake. I made a mistake getting past Florian, my teammate, ran it hot on the brakes into turn 3, kept out the wall, but of course then they both overtook me, so I lost a lot of time there as well, stuck in traffic. So the race win was mine, and I just threw it away, simple as that, and I'm really annoyed at myself because it was a race where Andy and Josh both got wing damage and lost a lot of time. So it was annoying to not maximise that result. Either way, you can see the race results on screen. Brownie picks up the win. We finished second, Andy third, and ramps up the podium for Mercedes. Kimi's P4 ahead of Pablo Futes, Zoltas, Krysix, Josh, Warren, and FK Gaming, my teammate Florian, picking up also the fastest lap, so 2 points for him here today. Josh only P8, which was quite surprising in the end. I believe he had a bit of a messy race. We then move into the driver standings, and actually I thought I was in the lead, but Brownie actually takes the lead. It surprised me after the race. I didn't realise Brownie had that many points, so he's now leading the way. We're P2, and it's annoying because I won at Zandvoort back in the the original part of the season before the grid got reset, and I won at Monaco and that got taken away. So I've had 2 wins which haven't counted yet. So I'm still technically winless in this series, but hopefully that will arrive soon, potentially the next race in Canada. Either way, Failer's in 3rd, he didn't race today, Andy up to P4, and my teammate also FK Gaming 13th as it stands with 3 points to his name. So yeah, you know what, we're in the mix. It's all calm. We'll try and go again next race. Constructors wise, we're in 2nd place, McLaren comfortably out front, and we've got Renault just 2 points behind. But guys, that is it from me here today for the Apex Online Racing Championship top split on PC around Baku. Next weekend it's Canada, guys, and I'll be streaming the race, of course, on my Twitch this Sunday, this weekend, so stay tuned for that one. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. Let's try and smash, let's say, 750 likes for today's video. Subscribe for more daily F1 content and weekly league racing content on the channel, and check out the 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But that is it from me here today, guys, and I will see you all next time. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.